England, 1966. The last time they won a World Cup. Since then, 60 years of hurt, of near misses, of penalty shootout exits, of golden generations that never quite delivered, of managers and tactics and squads that promised everything and came back with nothing. And through all of it, one question has haunted every England tournament since. Where is the striker? For a long time, the answer was complicated. Then Harry Kane showed up. And for 2 World Cups, he has been the most reliable thing England have brought to the tournament, clinical, composed, and carrying the weight of a nation that has been waiting longer than most fans have been alive. This is his story. And the final chapter hasn't been written yet. Russia 2018. England went to Russia in 2018 without the crushing weight of expectation that had suffocated previous squads. Nobody really believed they'd win it. The pressure was lower. The squad was young and largely unburdened by history. Gareth Southgate had built something honest. Not spectacular, but organized and difficult to beat. And then Kane opened his mouth and said he wanted to win the Golden Boot. Some people raised their eyebrows. He'd played 1 Senior World Cup match at that point in his career. Tunisia, group stage. June 18th, Kane scored in the 11th minute. Tunisia equalized. England dominated, but couldn't find a second goal. The clock ticked. 90th minute, a corner. Kane arriving at the back post, bundling it in off his head. 2-1. England win. He'd scored twice on his World Cup debut. Panama came next. England were 5-0 up by halftime. Kane had a hat-trick by the 62nd minute, 2 penalties and a deflected effort that barely matters in the context of a 6-1 demolition. He finished the match with 3 goals and the look of a man who had found exactly the stage. He was built for 6 goals in the tournament. More than Messi, more than Ronaldo, more than anyone. Golden Boot. England's first since Gary Lineker in 1986, and England reached the semifinals. Their deepest run since 1990, before Croatia broke their hearts in extra time. Kane scored 6 times and England still didn't make the final. In any other context, that would be considered a failure for a striker. In the context of English football, it felt like the most exciting thing that had happened in decades. Qatar 2022, 4 years on, the expectations had shifted. England were no longer underdogs. They had a talented squad, real depth in midfield, pace and attack, and Kane, now at Bayern Munich, one of the best clubs in the world, at the peak of his powers. The tournament unfolded steadily. England won their group. Kane was creating chances, dropping deep, linking play, doing everything a modern center forward is asked to do. The goals weren't flowing the way they had in 2018, but England were progressing. Senegal in the round of 16. Kane scored. England cruised through 3-0. Everything was building towards something. Then France, quarterfinal, the world champions. Giroud, Mbappe, Griezmann. England were competitive. Genuinely competitive. Kane scored a penalty in the second half to make it 1-1. England back in it. The nation holding its breath. Then the second penalty. England win a spot kick deep in the second half. Kane steps up. If he scores, England are level with 15 minutes to go against the reigning world champions. He puts it over the bar. Not wide. Over. Into the crowd. France. Win 2-1. England go home. That image. Kane standing in the Qatari night, staring at the sky after the ball had sailed over the crossbar. Went around the world before the final whistle had even blown. He gave no excuses. He took responsibility. He apologized to his teammates publicly, which he didn't need to do, and which said everything about the kind of man he is, but the exit stung for him more than anyone. Looking ahead 2026, the 2026 World Cup is in North America. Kane will be 32. By the standards of modern football, especially for a striker with his technique and footballing intelligence, that's not old. That's experience. England have a squad that, on paper, is arguably their most talented in a generation. Young players with pace, creativity, and big game experience. An established system under Southgate's successor. And Kane, still their captain, still their most reliable source of goals. 8 World Cup goals already. The record for an England player is Gary Lineker's 10. Kane is 2 behind with potentially an entire tournament to go. More importantly, England have never been closer. Semifinals in 2018, quarterfinals in 2022. Gap between where they've been and where they want to go is closing, slowly, painfully, but visibly. 2026 could be the year. It might not be. England have a way of finding new methods of heartbreak, but Kane will be there, preparing, finishing, ready. Here's what makes Harry Kane's World Cup story interesting. He is not a tragic figure. He hasn't been let down by injury or circumstance or bad luck. Not entirely. He's been England's best player at 2 consecutive World Cups, won a Golden Boot, reached a semi-final, and left both tournaments as one of the standout individuals in the competition. By any objective measure, that's a strong record. But Kane plays for England, and England haven't won a World Cup since 1966, which means no matter what he does individually, the story always ends the same way. Until it doesn't, 2026 is coming. One last realistic shot. A 32-year-old striker, 8 World Cup goals, 60 years of national hurt sitting behind him. If England win it with Kane lifting the trophy, it becomes one of the great stories in football history. If they don't, Kane retires as one of the finest strikers his country ever produced, and the wait goes on. Either way, he'll give everything he has. That part has never been in doubt. If you're here for the deep dives, the stories behind the tournaments, subscribe. There's plenty more coming.